What's up, guys? Welcome to Reseller's Life. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, I'm going to go over 21 life-changing reseller tips. This is a great video that you should share, maybe save, and just go over these same tips. This is heavily researched, so if you could help me out, please smash the like button. Comment down below which one of these 21 tips is your favorite, and then smash that notification bell because I have new videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So let's get straight into it. Number one, decide and commit how much money you want to make. Be as specific as possible and think as big as you can. And then each day we're going to make steady progress towards that. Number one, the most important tip is figuring out what you want. How much time do you want with your family? How much extra money do you want? How much savings do you want? How much money do you want to make? Then once you have an idea of where you want to go, each day all you have to do is take steady progress towards that goal. That's the number one tip. If you do that, your whole schedule and your priorities, what you buy, what you sell, who you talk to, will all adjust based on this one goal. Most people do not do this part. And so each day they're making random progress towards different goals and they never get anywhere. So mark your GPS for where you want to go, how much you want to make, how much time you want with your family. If you're making more money and not spending time with your family, which is what you ultimately want, you have already failed. So you want to get closer to where you want to go. You want to outsource tasks that you don't like. Number one, clarity, clarity, clarity. Okay, let's get into tip number two. Plan tomorrow's day today, tonight. The night before, if you write down what you want to do tomorrow and then just knock it out tomorrow, that's the best way to approach it. If you wait until tomorrow, it's already too late because you're being reactive. You want to plan your day first with your heavy, most important stuff first. Don't get distracted by stuff that's easy. You want to work on stuff that's difficult in the morning when you're the most fresh. That's a common habit that most people get into, which is they ship as soon as they wake up, which is the easiest thing you can do, and then they waste all that energy on something that's really easy and mindless that they should do after, like, let's say listing or maybe calling 5 suppliers. That's much more difficult. You should do that first while you're fresh. Then the momentum of that will carry you on to the easier tasks. Number 3. Focus on the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time should be researching and buying what the market wants. And then 20% listing, accounting, etc. But what most people do is actually 20% buying. They get lazy when they go shopping or sourcing. They just buy whatever's available or whatever is cheap without doing the homework. And then they end up spending 80% of their time fixing their store, listing. Their eyes are bleeding is what I call it on the computer all day, instead of just spending more time researching, which is more difficult, but it makes your selling life really easy because you're only listing stuff that'll sell quickly. So the 80-20 rule for reselling is sourcing and market research is number one. That's what you should be spending probably 90% of your time on, because if you do that properly, as soon as you list an item, it'll sell. Number 4, consider how much time an item will take to prepare for listing. This is really critical. Cleaning, prepping, detagging, polybagging, whatever your process is to getting the item ready, you need to think about that. Too often I see resellers picking up fragile items that take a long time to pack, not understanding that, items that need testing, items that need to be cleaned. They end up spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on one item, and when you break it down, they're making less than minimum wage just because of the amount of time putting into that item. And oftentimes those items are the ones that are returned because the condition is very difficult to describe. So and maybe somebody might just not like it. And if you are selling online, you most likely have to offer a return policy. So I like to avoid things that the condition is debatable. Try to go for things that are super clear. Number 5, deliberately put off easy tasks. So this is like when you are running an e-commerce business, a lot of stuff will fall to the side. You want to put the stuff that falls to the side as the easy stuff, like shipping, in my opinion. I would rather you focus on getting a certain number of listings up or a certain number of contacts reached, and that is your North Star. Focus on those key 80-20 Pareto principle tasks. Do that every day, and there's no way you can source items that people want at a great price and not kill it. It's just most people don't spend very much time doing that. When you write down what you did all day, most of it is just running around trying to find an item that you can't find. complaining about why your items don't sell in a Facebook group, things that don't actually move the needle. So make sure you focus on the hard tasks first. Number 6, rank your items with my new grading system. I just came up with this. A item would be a replenishable that you can reorder. This is an A+. You have you sell iPhones. You have a direct supply with you own one of those Macs repair shops, and Apple sends you 10 iPads, 10 iPhones, 10 MacBooks every single month. I consider that A. It's guaranteed to sell, super hot item. You can reorder it from the manufacturer. Very difficult to set up. I would consider that an A though. B would be multiple of the same item. List one item and you have 50 of them. That's easier to find if you're looking for closeouts, liquidations, shelf pulls. Maybe you're doing retail arbitrage and you find 60 of a camcorder at Walmart that's $200 off and you buy 40 of them, right? That's B grade, not too bad. Number C is a home run one-off item. And this is very common for pickers. If you go out and find items and you make $50, $100, $500 profit on one item, fantastic. It's hard to replicate, but it's awesome. You can build an entire store of those. I've seen multiple stores with ASP or average sale price of over 500, over 1,000. People who are unbelievably picky, like they go shopping for 8 hours a day and come home with 2 things. This type of store is fine. It's also a great way to retire. A lot of people do this type of hunting because the more you know, the better picker you are. Letter D. So I would consider this still passing, but it's not. It still passes. You can get by on this, but it's not really the way to get abundant. And that's just bread and butter one-off items. So just getting, mall brands or common items that people buy that are between $10 and $30 and you're paying between $1 and $5 for them. That's still passing. You pass as a reseller. It's just that if you don't work, you don't make money. Shout out to longtime friend Monica the Posh Hanger. You can see her hustle has been almost the same as when I first met her. She's just barely starting to add A, B, and C into her business, but she works really hard one week, kills it. That the next week, if she takes it off, she doesn't kill it that week. And that's why I consider it passing. Like you can get by on that, but you can't really get abundant till you start finding the items that you can reorder or categories that you can master or suppliers that come in. So D, I would consider passing, and this is just one-off bread and butter items. E, and F, and this I would consider this failing, is when you have one-off items that are not heavily researched and don't sell. So just random one-off items that are not in a specific category, not bread and butter. Items that you're taking a risk on because they're cheap. I consider that failing. If you fill your entire store with that, you will not make a living. It has to be specific. You can't be buying random items. No one has accidentally made an incredible store. That just doesn't work that way. Number 7, always be improving, cleaning, and optimizing your work area. This is important because the cleaner your workspace, the faster you can move. I consider this RAM. It's like memory in a computer. If it's running 100 different programs, it's going to run really slowly. And, if you're going to be running a marathon race with me and you want to be a reseller and do this for a living, you want the least amount of weight on you as possible. You want to be clean, crisp, deliberate, intentional when you're doing things. And if your desk is covered in junk, it's not going to work. If your house is a death pile, what I recommend is get a corner of the room that's empty, clear that space out, face the wall, and then just get going, get listing. Don't look at your mess because it's going to be distracting and impossible to get any work done. Get one little area, one oasis that's clear, and just sit there and work, and then continuously clean and lean out the inventory, meaning just like get rid of any extraneous stuff and people that are not related to your work. It's really important. These workstations, a sourcing area, prepping area, listing area, I go over that in my reseller field guide. So if you guys want to help me out and help this channel, you can pick up that guide for $35 in the description with code YouTube, and that really helps me continue to make videos like these videos take a long time to make, so I really appreciate the people who picked that up and helped this channel out. If you want to join my free Facebook group, it's called the Reseller Collective. In there's a couple thousand people that will help you for free with the basics if you want to just ask questions. But again, these little stations that you have that you can go over your items each week, and just make sure that you are doing just listing in this area, just photograph in this area. That takes time to make each one of these stations. So you want to take your time, focus on these separate tasks one by one, and get a system going, get a user manual going, so that each time you're doing things the same way. And when you start to build momentum, you'll start to realize, wow, every item in my store looks exactly the same. I go through the same process of finding items, the same process in shipping items. You just transformed yourself from a hobby into an actual enterprise. That's the main difference. Hobby people do things different every single time. I'm also gonna just reference a lady that I met, and we were gonna make some content together. And I'm like, what type of YouTube content would you like to make? Do you want to go over this or that? And she's like, well, I want to go over that. And then I asked her, what do you do with that? And she didn't have a process. I'm like, how can we talk about it if you don't have a way that you do it? We need to I'll compare how I do it with the way that you do it, and then hopefully people will get value from it. And she didn't have any systems. Every time she wanted to do shipping per se, as an example, she had to do something different. Her shipping supplies were in different areas. She didn't have a specific way that she did it. She printed her labels on different computers using different printers. That's just so time consuming. So the idea is to make as much money in as little time as possible so you can spend time doing things that you like. If that's sourcing and you set up your process right, you can shop 95% of the time. Okay, but if you don't set up your processes right, what ends up is the people who love shopping spend 95% of their day panicking because they have all this stuff they don't know how to list, and they're not even doing the thing that they love, which is shopping. So if shopping is your thing, then you've just got to increase your average sale price really high and be really ninja specific on what it is that you're sourcing. Spend 95% of your time looking for the amazing deal on things that people want. I'm not sure. To me, when I hear you're really good at shopping, it sounds like you're the best at finding incredible deals on popular items. But when I look at the stuff that people who are great at shopping buy, it's just stuff that's cheap. It's not also market driven. It's not popular on on these e-commerce platforms, because if it was, as soon as they listed it, it would be sold, and they wouldn't have things in their areas. So this is part 1 of 3 on my 21 life-changing tips. Sorry, it's a really long series, so I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next section. I'll link in the description below. And again, help me out, buy my field guide. It's $35 with code YouTube in the description below. And this is part 1 of 3 in 21 life-changing reseller tips. Everyone have a great night. Take care. Until next time, make progress daily.